the world is so scarred from religion, you know.
Question I have to ask, the album is called Grey Oceans. When did you come up with the title? Who did?
There's no real who. There's no real who about that. But it's the gray is the passage, you know, between the light and the dark, and the oceans is like the vastness of the passage, and I think it circles back to a lot of what we've been talking about, not so much between life and death, but between material and ethereal. In music is really that the medium of music is ethereal, and I think we're trying to give that that space, give that space to people, perhaps in listening, or that's at least the theme. It's the theme of the record.
This record, yeah.
Will there be what will the next single be? Or
like the single from the record?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually it's interesting. It's shape-shifting, but I think it's Lemonade.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do, maybe if you, is it, well, we have a certain feature that we talk about a single more in depth. Maybe you can talk about Lemonade. Can you say what was the starting point of that song?
It started with the kind of the hook of the song, which came directly from a period of our childhood. Has a really summery feeling in it, and from that point I think the song fell together in a very natural, reminiscent way.
And what period of your childhood do you refer to?
We spent a period in a very rural part of Arizona in the southwest. It's very dry and flat.
And it's a jackrabbit land.
So we used to drive, very underage for driving. We used to drive around in the flat, in the desert
bed, off-road.
Yeah, and chasing rabbits and actually hunting them and eating them, and you know, having to skin them and clean them, and it was challenging. I was like between 5 and 6, and I was like skinning rabbit, and it was hard, but and there was nothing to do in this town, and it was like kind of torture. It was like child torture. So we would walk to this candy shop called Speedy's, and we had whatever like change we found from the couch.
I think it was the only building in town. It had gas and candy.
And comic books that our brothers were like comics. We didn't like comics, but that's all there was going on. So yeah, this memory really just popped up, and it inspired us to even go visit. And because we've been back in the States, so we recently drove through this town, and we got in a huge fight as soon as we entered the town. It's called Joseph City, and it's a very spooky town.
What was the fight about?
Nothing. It was like this.
Should we drive in, or it got?
Nothing.
It just got. I think we got really nervous.
It was like something completely possessed us as soon as we exited. It was off Route 66. Right. It's like the really famous highway. So you drive, nothing, tumbleweeds. Finally, we see like a nuclear plant with pollution where we used to swim. May I add, we used to swim in like a green,
a fluorescent green
lake, nuclear heated lake. So we've been enjoying some of these charming pieces of our past lately. It's been really nice to just be on the desert road again.
Was it for you also a traumatic experience, skinnying rabbits and? Because he was 5 or 6 years old, I think you were then maybe.
Actually,
10
I was a little bit older and a little more independent. So I was a real tomboy, you know, just running with my brothers without shoes and just a little dirtier.
So it was for you, it was not a traumatic experience?
It was pretty traumatic, but I think good.
Okay, so was the lemonade, was it sold at the only building in the town?
Say that again?
Was lemonade sold at the only building in the town? Lemonade candy, lemonade flavor powder.
I think, yeah. Also, there's a little ode in it to our grandfather who drank a lot of lemonade, like the kind you make out of a canister with powder, not real lemonade. And he also, when we would go out on lakes in boats, and he would use a tin cup and drink the lake water. Not the nuclear lake though. It's a different lake.
Yeah.
But that was also his lemonade.
There's kind of like an old-timey.
Yeah, an
old-timey sentiment about our grandfather and lemonade.
Was it grandfather from your father's side or from your mother's side?
Yeah, from my father's side.
My last question. Well, we talked about your mother, Cherokee side. What is? Can you say what the influence is maybe of your father in this album, or his shamanism, or I don't know?
There's lots of witchcraft and magic kind of stuff, and that's really his department of expertise. Spells, sage.
Is there one
smoke.
spell that you say that if you think about your dad, you say, well, that's his spell. That's what he did to us?
Well, sometimes crows will appear and when we're working or when we're walking, and
that was a special significance for him. Crows.
He's called Cackling Crow. So sometimes we think he's around, you know, laughing at us, and it kind of reminds us about, you know, to not take ourselves too seriously, because we can get kind of serious.
Okay. So the crow is actually then a positive animal, because some more or less people think about crow being, yeah.
I'd say it's more positive.
I mean, it's kind of sinister, but
still a bit positive. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.